In this tutorial, we're going to recreate the Oculus website using the Neve theme and Elementor. If you like this kind of tutorial, make sure you click subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any future rebuild tutorials and other great tutorials on this channel. If you have any questions at any time in this video, make sure you leave a comment down below and we'll try to answer your questions the best we can. My name is Bjorn Allpass from Themeisle and we're getting started right now. Today we're going to rebuild the Oculus website. In case you don't know, it's a Facebook company. It is virtual reality goggles. And they're pretty cool stuff. And the website's pretty cool too. And what we're going to do today is at the very top, we have our menu system. We're going to create that using the Neve theme. Then the content in the middle, we're going to create using Elementor, including these cool zoom in effects when you hover over these images. We're going to recreate the footer using a combination of Elementor and custom layouts. Custom layouts is a feature of Neve. It's recently released and it's pretty awesome. I'm going to show you how it works in this video. And if you're following along, you want to create a site just like this as we go along, but you don't have a domain name yet, you should check out Themeisle. You can type in anything you want. Let's try virtual reality. Search. And we see a bunch of listings of currently available domain names with the term virtual reality in them. You can change your TLDs or the top level domains. If you want to see just .coms or .coms and .orgs, you can do that. And you can find awesome domains for your project. And down below, we have the possibility of using the sounds like option or random suggestions, and even more brandable names that you see up here. And so if you're following along, you want a domain name but you don't have an idea, this is a great place to find an idea, domainwheel.com. And if you need hosting, there's a link in the description down below. We've negotiated a great deal on hosting for you. So if you like discounts and you need a place to put your website, check out that deal on hosting down below. So the website we're starting with today is this one. Totally blank, vanilla WordPress, nothing at all going on. I do have a couple things installed. Let's go to the dashboard and see what those are. For the theme, we have the latest version of the Neve theme running right now. And in plugins, we have installed Elementor, Elementor Pro, Image Optimization by Optimal, and the Neve Pro add-on, which goes with the Neve theme and adds some extra features to it. And even though we have 2 Pro plugins installed, that does not mean they're required to complete this tutorial. They just make things a little bit easier. But you can still complete this tutorial without having any Pro plugins. And I also have a few menus created. If we head into the menus section, we have some footers created, footers 1 through 4, and those match up with the footers on the home page. This is footer 1, footer 2, footer 3, footer 4 in our menus over here. Now we're going to create a main menu. Let's create a new menu. We're going to call this main. And we're just going to add 2 menus to build this header. It's going to be the main menu that you see up here. And then over here, there's a smaller menu, login and your shopping cart. I'm going to create those 2 menu systems. And over here, there's the logo. And we're going to add this to the header using the header builder in the Neve customizer options. So let's go to menus. Let's create a new menu. I'm going to call this main. And I'm going to add a link to it by using a custom link. I'm going to name the first one what the first one is here, which is Quest. Add the second one, which was Rift S, I believe. Yes, Rift S. Now that you've seen how I've added those 2, all the rest are the same. I'm just going to fast forward as I add the others. Then I'm going to go ahead and save this. Then we're going to create that last menu, which is the right-hand side menu. I'm just going to call this the login menu. I'm going to create a link called login. And the shopping bag icon that we see over here on the right-hand side of this menu, we're going to add that using a menu icons plugin. So we're going to save this because we're half done this menu. Have to make sure you save your work. Then go to plugins and add new and look up menu icons. The one we want is this one right here by Themeisle. Click on install now and then activate, and then head back into our menus and add the link for the shopping cart. Let's just call this cart for now. Click the down arrow, choose on select icon, and here we have a lot of icons to choose from. I'm going to search for a cart, see if they have one. Maybe they have a bag. Let's look for bag. No, no bag. Checkout. No checkout. Let's stick with this cart. Looks like that's the closest we're going to get to a shopping cart type of icon. On the right hand side, we can see a preview how this will look on the menu or in the menu. I'm going to hide the label so there's only the icon. You can choose position before or after, which only really matters if there's a label visible. Vertical align in the middle, font size 1.2, maybe a bit bigger. It's hard to tell because you don't see the rest of the menu here. Let's just keep it at 1.4. Okay, select. Now we have our cart item in here. Click on Save Menu. Now that we have those menus created, we can add them to the header of the site. Before we do that, if you wanted to add them to locations right now, for example, the main menu, choose it from the drop-down, click on Select. We can add it to a location right down here. Just choose the primary menu location. That's more than likely the main menu in the header. Click on Save. You can also do this under Manage Locations. And depending on the theme, you're going to have a different number of locations. The locations will have different names. This is custom to each theme, so yours might look a little different. But you can choose which menus go where. The footer menu only has one drop-down option, but we have 4 footer menus. So the footer menu has to be done in the customizer. Let's head in there now and do the header right now, not the footer. So we have our menu here because we just assigned it. Let's go to the header for the header options. And we see down here the nice little header builder, which is very convenient. I'm going to shrink the size of the logo area. I'm going to move the main menu over. And I'll make it quite large. So for the site logo, we want to add a logo. So click on this site logo option, click on Select Logo, and I've uploaded the images from the Oculus website. It's going to choose this logo here because that's the one they have in the top left. Choose that one, click on Select, skip cropping. Now we have the logo right here, white on white. We're going to change the background color in just a minute so we can see it. And then we have the menu in the middle, the primary menu, and we want to have that other menu, the login and shopping cart menu, on the right. So I'm going to choose the secondary menu from down here, going to drag and drop it into place. And for that menu, we are going to select login. And here is that menu. That's looking pretty good. So next, let's get rid of the search in the primary menu because they don't have that little search icon in there. So we're going to hide the search. We're going to center this menu. We're going to change the background color of the menu system by adding a little bit of custom CSS. I'm going to just paste it right in here. And we're going to double check to make sure that black is the actual background color they have here. I have a color picker up here. I'm going to check or choose pick color from website. Click on anywhere in the black area and it is definitely black. Although not quite. 000 is the hex code for black, so it's not quite black. Let's update it to what they have. Looks pretty close to black, but it's not quite. Okay, so we have the background for the header. Our logo is a little too big, so let's click on that. And let's shrink the logo width a little bit. And we're looking pretty good. And while we're here, let's turn off show tagline, show site title. Even though the logo replaces them, we don't want those appearing by accident somewhere. So let's get rid of those. We can update the site icon, which is up here. This replaces the planet. They have this little Oculus logo in black. This is the one we want right here. Click on select. And there we go. We have the site icon in place. And now let's make this a little wider. Their menu goes all the way across the top of the page. Ours is boxed. So let's make it wider. Let's go to the very top level, go to layout, go to container, and let's ramp this up to full width. Now I want to change some of the menu colors. So we want to have the colors they have. Looks like they have white, and when you hover, let's see what color this is. We're going to inspect it, and we're going to choose :hov, choose the hov pseudo selector to make sure we're hovering. And the hover color is this one here, this gray. It's going to copy this, come back into our site, click on primary menu to edit it, click on style, make the item color white, and make the hover color the one we just copied, the gray. So now when you hover, have that nice gray, and the active color. Let's see if they have an active color. Click on any one of these menu items, and it looks like their active color is that gray as well. Active just means that's the page that you're currently on, so you can see which page you're on, because that's the active page. So let's paste in that color, and now we have our active color selected appropriately. All right, now you want to edit our menu on the right because it is not quite the right color either. The layout, let's shift that to the right. Sorry, not the left. So that one was the far right. This logo, that's the far left. Okay, good. Back to the secondary menu. Let's change the colors to be the same as our main menu. There we go. They're white, and when you hover, they're gray. And now we have our menu system, more or less, just like theirs. The font size is a little bigger, so we can shrink that. Let's go to typography, general, make the size a little bit smaller. Our menu size is pretty much just like theirs, and I think now we're good to go to build the footer, which is quite complex. And we're going to build it using Elementor and custom layouts, which is the Pro add-on for the Neve theme, like I mentioned at the beginning. So first I'll show you where the custom layouts live. Let's just publish what we have here and exit out of the customizer. And the custom layouts option is under appearance, and it's called custom layouts. To create a new custom layout, just click on add new. And this is where we do our work with the custom layout. There's the ability to edit with custom code if you want to. You can use the Gutenberg editor if you want to, or the Elementor builder if you want to. And once you've created your layout, down below at the very bottom is where you choose that layout to appear. So for the layout, you can choose footer, header, hooks. I'm going to choose footer for our layout because that's what it's going to be. And then the conditional logic allows us to add it to anywhere we want. Posts, pages, archives, users. And if you had custom post types, those would be listed in here as well. I'm going to choose no condition in this case, so it's added as the footer because we selected footer from up here. And if you add the plus, you can add more conditions if you want to. You can have as many as you want. And they can all be different. So you could theoretically have a different footer for each page if you really wanted. I'm going to give this a name. Let's call it footer. And I'm going to click on publish, and then edit with Elementor to start creating the footer. And for those of you with Elementor Pro, you might be wondering why on earth would we be creating Elementor footers and using the custom layouts in the Neve theme? Because you could just create the footer as a template in Elementor and assign that to wherever you want as well. Well, if you don't have Elementor Pro, this works with Elementor Free. So with the free version of Elementor and the Pro version of the Neve theme, you can create footer templates. So you don't have to have Elementor Pro if you want to have templates. You can do it with the Pro version of the Neve theme if you wanted to. And what I'm going to do now is create this footer. And just to save myself a lot of flipping back and forth between websites and screens, I'm just going to create a kind of a half screen setup where I have the Oculus footer down below and our Elementor is going to be right here. So now we can go ahead and build our footer. I'm going to build it in two sections, two horizontal sections. The first one is going to be everything above this 1 pixel border, and the second one's going to be everything below. So let's add a section, have it a multi-column section. We have 1 column for the logo, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, and we could actually create that logo outside of the columns. Let's do that. Let's use a 5-column option. So the first thing we'll do is add the background color, which was this almost black color that we have here. I'm just going to copy the hex code, click on the 6 dots, click on got it, go to style, choose a background color. There. Nice little background color. In this first one, we're going to add a heading. The heading is going to be product. Let's drag and drop the heading in here. Call it product. It's set to an H2 currently. In the footer, you probably don't want to have an H2. Pick one of the lower level ones, 3 or 4. Should be the right one for the footer. Make it 4. H1s you want to have one time on a page. H2s you want to have throughout your content to subdivide your content. Sometimes you may have H3s in there if you have subdivisions of your H2 sections. And then H4, 5, and 6 are rarely in the content. So use those in the sidebars and the footers and things like that. It's a little SEO tip to help you organize your headers. So I'm going to choose the styles as white. I'm going to make the font weight normal, and I'm going to transform it to uppercase, and I'm going to make it smaller. Let's inspect what they have. We can get the exact font size that they have usually. So their font weight is 100 and their font size is 12. And it is, what is it? They're using H6. So these are H6s on their website. Just for interest's sake. Pretty close on the font, we're at 13. So 12, and the font weight, we can choose 100 as well. And it looks different than theirs because we have a different font. Let's see which font they have. Maybe we can find that exact font. Basis Grotesque Pro, probably not. Fallback is Arial. Let's see if they have this Basis. They don't. You could add those fonts in manually, but I'm not going to do that in this video. But it is possible. If you want that exact font that they have, you can find this font in a font library online. You may have to purchase it, but you can find that font for sure and add it to your site if you wanted to. So product, I'm going to make it a little heavier weight actually. Didn't really change. That's good enough. Okay, so now we're going to add a nav menu. This is a Elementor Pro option. I'm going to add it right below the product. Let's try that again. There we go. And it selects footer 1. That's great. Layout is horizontal. We do not want it horizontal. We want it to be vertical. We want it to be aligned to the left, which it is. We want to change some styles. So for the typography, let's make the color, let's make the links Arial actually, so it's all the same. Make them size 12. Let's make the weight normal. Let's transform them. Nope, we don't transform. Those are all this regular case for the words. That's all we're changing in here. Let's change the text color to be white. Now we're going to change padding. So the vertical padding of the menu is, I got the wrong font size, I just realized. The vertical padding is the space between the items. Horizontal padding is the space from the left. We're going to have it as 0 because it's right up against the left side on theirs. And we're going to change the color to whatever color they have. Let's inspect their color or inspect their link item. And the color is this right here. Copy that. Change the color to this one. Boom, look at that. Piece of cake. And their font size looks a bit bigger than 12 for their links. Font size of 15 for their links. Let's make that 15. There we go. Looking good. Now, I'm just going to copy this column. I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to remove this column. I'm going to call this one developers. It's going to remove all these columns. Would have been smarter to not add these to begin with, but sometimes I'm not that smart. Paste that column, paste another one. There we go. I'm going to call the second one company and the third one community. Click on these pencils to change the menu. Change that one to footer 2. This one to footer 3. This one to footer 4. Looking pretty good so far. Let's click on these 6 dots and add some padding to the top of this element. So we're not squished right up to the very top because they have quite a bit of space. And now we have quite a bit of space. They have space on the bottom as well. Let's add some space on the bottom as well. We're also going to add a border, which we won't be able to see until we add the bottom section. But under style and then border, we can add a border type of solid. It's going to have a width of 1 pixel just on the very bottom. So I'm going to click this link and just on the bottom have 1 pixel. And the color is going to be a little trickier to find. So let's try to see if we can find that exact color. Border top, that wasn't so hard. They added that border to the top of their bottom section. We're just going to add it to the bottom of our top section, just to make sure we're not exactly the same as they are. And now we have our border there. Like I said, we can't see it till we add the bottom section. And just to make sure that's true, well, why don't we do that right now? Let's add the section and make the color the same color background as we have for the top. Click on the 6 dots, go to style, background color. There we go. And there we have our border. I can't hover over any of these because it adds the blue outline, but you can see that 1 pixel border right there. So we're going to add the logo. There's 2 different ways we can do this. We could add another column to add the logo, or we could add it using absolute positioning. So if we drag and drop the image widget over here, pick our logo, and let's shrink the width in the style menu. Try to ballpark how big theirs is. Looks about that big. If we go to advanced, we can choose custom positioning, change it to absolute, and now we can place it pretty much anywhere we want on the website. The problem with absolute positioning is it's not great for mobile responsiveness, so you don't want to do it very often. The other option you have is creating another column and just having the logo in that column. To use the column method, we can just right click on here, add a new column, drag and drop it into place, change this back to default positioning, drag and drop it into our column, and align it to the right. And it's pretty close. It's got to be a little higher. Gotta go to advanced. And the margin top, we need to go into negative territory and put it up there. And we can also shrink the size of this column. Don't want to shrink the width of that logo so much though. Let's go back into here, make our width quite a bit bigger. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So that's the column method. Those are the two ways you can do it, either columns or absolute positioning. Which one you choose is up to you. But just know that absolute positioning is not great for responsive design, so you don't want to use that too often. And now we're going to add this information on the right-hand side here. So let's add a new column. Okay, so inside of here, we'll add in our social icons. Just search for social icons, drag and drop them in here. I have a bit of customizing to do, but first let's get the correct icons in there. So we have, or they have, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So let's update these guys. Let's move Twitter down here. Let's change Google Plus to Instagram. Let's add YouTube. And let's see if there's Twitch on here. That would be excellent. There it is. All right. Instagram's color is not really showing up, but that's okay because we don't want them to have colors anyway. So now let's change their styling and their size to match what Oculus has. To do that, head into the styling tab, change the color from official to custom, and we're going to choose as our primary color that gray. Let's see if it's in our clipboard. It's not. Let's see if we can get the gray from these menu links. Text color, there we go. Let's change our primary color to that, which is the background of the options or of the social icons. And then the secondary color we're going to change to black. And then we are going to change the size to be roughly what they have. As you can see, we're not going to get exactly what they have for the icon design, but I think it'll be close enough. I'm going to add some more spacing between them. Now I'm going to add a border on the bottom just like they have. That border is going to be same color as the border that we have on this main section, which is going to be this. So let's add a border. Let's change the width of the bottom to just 1. There we go. There's our border. Need to add some padding to it. Move it down a little bit. Go to advanced. Add padding to just the bottom. That'll move that border down. That's pretty good. Now we want to align this element to the left. Head back into content and click on alignment left. Now we have our social icons in place. And when you hover over theirs, they just go white. Ours go to the official colors. We can change that by clicking on the pencil to edit this element. Go to icon, hover, change the primary color to white, and then the secondary color to black. So it's basically the same as the original, just that we changed it for hover to be white instead of gray for the primary color. And there's actually a little bit of padding on the left of their icons. It's not exactly lined up with the border, so I'm going to just add a little padding to the left by going in here. Padding left, just increase that a little bit. You can use the inspector to get the exact amount, but I don't think that is really critical. So I think that's pretty darn close. Now we're going to create the second part of this column. Let's start with a heading. Just going to duplicate this heading, move it down here, change it to newsletter sign up. This color does not look white. I'm going to inspect it to see what color that is. It's not, it's a gray. So we're going to go into style, change the color to that gray, make it default, and make it default for the weight and the transform, and make it a little bit bigger in size. There's this 14 pixels, so let's up ours to 14. And there we have that heading in place. In this case, I'm not going to add the functional sign up form down below. We're just going to pretend I did, because if you want to add that, that's a whole different tutorial. That's where you have to create an autoresponder account. You have to create a list in the account. You have to get the embed code, put it on your website. So it's fairly complicated and in-depth, just creating this little box right here. So we're not going to create that in this case. We're just going to pretend we did. And then we're going to just copy this sentence because that is the last part of this column that we're going to do. And I'm going to add the text editor. Just going to paste that text in here. And terms of service and privacy policy are links. So I'm just going to create an empty link using a hashtag and use this basic HTML tag to create a link. And you have to close those. You got to open and close the HTML tags. And now we have our nice little disclaimer sentence. I think the font size is a little bit smaller for theirs. So I'm just going to make mine 13. That looks about right. Center it. Going to add a bit of padding to the top just for completeness sake to make it look like we've left space for that sign up form. There we go. Looking pretty good. Now all we have to do is add the bottom footer section. Before I go on, I want to click on update. I have not saved this since we started. The worst thing that happens in life is when you build big components of a website or entire websites and you don't save your work. That's one of the worst things that happens in life, believe it or not. So now we're going to add the content down here, which is pretty straightforward. We just have a from Facebook, a copyright for Facebook, and a couple links and a language switcher over here. So I'm going to add the from Facebook using a heading, make it just like they have. Just going to make this one from. And then I'm going to add a new column and then shrink that column so we're right beside it. And the second one, so duplicate this, move it over here. We're going to call Facebook. Why do we do it that way? Well, because they have styled theirs very differently. If we want to avoid using CSS, we need to style these separately as well and make them separate because inside of Elementor, we can't easily style individual words inside an element without using CSS. You can do it with CSS in Elementor, but we want to just see how we do it without CSS. So let's change this from to, I'm going to change it pretty much to what we have up here. Let's just copy the product. Let's paste the style and let's make it default for the transform. Let's make the font size bigger. Let's copy this and then paste that style over to Facebook. And then we just want to make this a little bit bolder because that's really the only difference. Let's see how bold we can go. Bold. All right, now that's looking pretty good. Now let's add an icon. That's going to be the copyright symbol. You can do this pretty easily using ASCII character in HTML, but we don't want to do that. Let's just add that. This is pretty simple too. Make the size pretty small. Ours is quite small. Make it white. Add another column. A lot of columns in this footer. We'll adjust the columns in just a minute. Don't want to keep readjusting all the time. Let's just copy this heading right here, paste it over here, and call this Facebook Technologies LLC. Make it smaller than the others. This copyright symbol must be smaller too. It's quite large. There we go. That's better. Let's make the vertical align middle and make sure this vertical line is in the middle. Vertical align middle. There we go. And now 2 more columns. Add a column. I'm just going to paste in the heading again. Just going to call this language. We don't actually have a language switcher installed, so we're not going to have real functioning language switching going on. But just so we know what it is, we're going to just call that language. And then the very last column, we're going to have 2 links. Let's just create a text editor. Just like we did earlier. Just a link that doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to change the font size to be a little bit smaller. There we go. Going to duplicate this and call the second one legal. Going to make this language bold because theirs appears to be bold. And now we're going to adjust the spacing. Gonna add a little more padding here. It's always the fine adjustments at the end that take a little bit of time just to get them just how you want them. Let's add some padding to this guy on the top. So we add a little on the left, move that over, some more on the top. And there we go. I think our footer is looking pretty solid. Let's update this. Let's head out to the main site, exit out of Elementor. Just update this just in case we have to. Always want to save and update. Go to view site. Let's see what we have going on here. We have our nice header at the top, our nice footer at the bottom, and we're looking pretty awesome. Now we can go ahead and start building the inner content. And I lost my Oculus website. Let's go back to it. The inner content is going to be everything below the menu and above the footer. And we're going to use Elementor to build that. So let's go to the top because we're going to start building the header first. And let's go into the website. Let's go to pages, add new. Let's call this homepage. Let's publish that. And let's go into settings and then reading. Pick a static homepage, the one we just created. Click on save changes and then go back to that page. Click on edit again and edit with Elementor. And then we're going to get started building that homepage. First things first, let's plan our sections. So we're going to have this big section with the black background. It's going to be a section. And then we're going to have an inner section that has these two columns with these two VR headsets. And above that have the headline, which is going to be in its own inner section. So let's just flesh that out on the design here. So we're going to have one big section and we're going to stretch that, make it full width. Inside of here, we're going to have an inner section. That's going to be where the VR headsets are, each of these sides. And above that, we're going to have a headline and we're going to center it. And that's our basic layout for the header. Pretty straightforward. Let's copy this headline and let's paste that right in here. Cool thing is when you copy and paste like that, Elementor can pick up some of the styling. So it applied this styling here for us. It did that with inline CSS, which is less cool because that's not really what you want to be doing. But if you're okay with that, that is a pretty cool feature that Elementor has. For me, I'm going to get rid of that styling. I'm going to make this an H1. It's the title of the page. And I'm just going to copy or recreate the styling without the inline CSS. Make the title white. Let's make the background color, which is this almost black one. Otherwise, we can't see our headline. Click on these 6 dots, go to Style, Background, Color, boom. There's our headline. Let's inspect this to see how big it is. What the font size is, I should say. And it is 40 pixels. So let's up that font to 40 pixels. There we go. Let's add some padding. Looks like actually the second one, 48. Let's add some padding to the top, give some space between that and the menu system. I'm going to apply the padding on the section itself. Padding top, increase that until we're happy with it. It's pretty good. For these columns, we have this nice big image at the top, and this headline is also an image. You can click and drag it around the page, which means it's an image. This is words, text on the page, and here's a button. So let's add those 3 things in. Let's put the image in here first. 2 images, I should say, actually. Let's do the purple headset, and then let's add the next image. Oculus Quest is the first one right there. We're going to make this not so wide. That's about right. I'm going to copy this text. I'm going to make that a text editor widget. Paste that in there. I'll style it, center it, make it white, a little bit bigger, not too big. Okay, now a button. Put that button right there. Center the button. Button text is shop now, and it is regular case. We're going to style it. Let's get the colors button. It has a hover color and a regular color. Let's get the regular one first using our color picker. Royal blue, they call that one. That's a nice blue. So the background color is royal blue. The hover color is different. Have to inspect the button. Choose :hov and then :hover. And here we have a new background color. Let's apply that for the hover. Not the text. Text color stays white. Background color changes to that. When you hover, it's just a little bit lighter. There we go. It's very nice, very nice. And how are we doing for spacing? Everything looks pretty good. Let's make the headline a little bit bigger. There, that looks pretty good. Now we're just going to copy this whole column. I'm going to paste it right here. Just going to delete this column. And just switch out the images and the words. Pretty straightforward. It's really nice you can just copy and paste things like that. Makes work a whole lot faster. All right, boom, done. Header done. Just a little more padding on the bottom. 6 dots up here, go to advanced, padding bottom. Increase that a little bit. There we go, nailed it. Next section is pretty straightforward. It's all white. Let's start with the Raider image. The text here is overlaid on top of the image. So let's do the image first. First, I'm going to add the section, and I'm going to keep it as boxed. I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to add our image. No, I'm not actually. I'm going to add a background image. I'm going to click on this column icon, click on Style, Background Type, add the image as the background, and then just to figure out where I am in regards to spacing and things like that, I'm just going to just create the headline first, or this sub-headline here, The Power of the Dark Side. I'm going to give it this gray color. Let's inspect it. And our color is 999999999. Repeated. Style. Text color. Guess I'll just size it appropriately while I'm here. Okay, now let's just add some padding to this. Just going to add 200 on all sides, just so we can see our background image. We have something to work with, because we need to position this thing just right to make it work with a text overlay. So I'm going to position this in the top left, as we should. I'm going to make it no repeat, make the size cover, and now I'm going to add a second column. Second column is white, but I'm going to give the background of this column a color, and it's going to be the black color. Same black. I guess there only is one type of black, but it's the same black we have over here. I'm just going to copy this headline, paste it over here. Now we have our black background. I'm just going to delete this text that we have in here. There we go. Now we have something to work with. Let's make our right and left 0. And now we have our Raider image. Now I have to make this text overlaid over top. So let's add another headline. And call it Raider Immortal. Don't worry about the spacing right now. We'll fix that in just a few minutes. A Star Wars VR series. Okay, let's first style this because it's going to be the same style. Text color of white. Font size. Inspect this and see what the font size is. 40 pixels. 40. All right, let's just duplicate that and make the second headline, or the sub-headline, or whatever you want to call it, a Star Wars VR series. Now we can start reducing the padding on this guy, just to make things line up properly. Let's put this down to 0, top and bottom. Now let's add some more to the top. Actually, first let's finish the buttons, because the top and bottom have to be about equal. So learn more and watch trailer. We can just copy the Shop Now button, because it's the exact same style, set of different words. So let's just copy this button. And inside of an intersection, which is what we use to add columns inside of columns, paste in Shop Now and change the text to Learn More. Now the Watch Trailer button is a little more difficult because we have this icon that changes color as you hover. And we can't get this exact effect in Elementor without coding, but we can get pretty darn close. So we hop back into here. Let's look up icon. I'm going to add it right here. Let's make it the play icon and frame it. I have it wrapped in a circle. Go to Style, change the size, about that big. Change the padding a little bit. There we go. Primary color, white. Hover color is, pretty sure it's the same blue as, yeah, it's the same blue as this button. Let's do this button blue. There we go. Hover for the primary, make it that blue color. That's pretty good. That's the closest we're going to get in Elementor without using code. Let's add another column. Let's move this over to there. This one's going to be called Watch Trailer. Get the heading. Type in here, Watch Trailer, piece of cake. Make it white, make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to adjust the vertical line to put that in the middle, and it's got to be a little bit smaller. That button's got to be a little bit bigger. Let's make this button size medium. Let's put it vertically aligned in the middle. Same as this one. Vertically aligned in the middle. And Watch Trailer a little bit smaller. I think that's looking pretty similar now. Let's add some more padding to the top of this and the bottom actually. So 100 on the top, not 1,000, just 100. 100 on the bottom. Now let's add some padding to this column just on the top, just to move that down to approximately the center, and then move it over a bit from the left. There we go, that looks pretty solid. We still have to round the edges of the outside. If we look at theirs, they have slight rounding here, might be 3 pixels, might be 4, 5. We'll just ballpark it. Go back into here, click on the column, and then add a border radius of 3 to the left. Did I get the one I wanted? Yeah, I got the one right up there. And then to the top. There we go, we got those 2 rounded. And on the other column, we want to add border to the right and the bottom. And if we added it to all 4 sides, we would have these interior areas rounded as well, which we don't want. Now we have the outside corners rounded just like on the Oculus website. And the last thing, I'm just going to reduce the margin on the bottom of this guy to make these words a little closer together, because theirs are quite close. And add a little more padding at the top to move it down to the middle. And then I think we're solid. There we go, that's pretty good. Let's work on the next section. This is it right here. We have a headline, 3 images. The images zoom as you hover on them, and then a subheadline and a learn more button. So this is set up in 2 columns. We're going to grab the color for the background. It is this color right here. We're going to add a section. Let's make it 2 columns right away. Might delete one of the columns later. Depends how we feel. Let's add a background color of that. Perfect. I'm going to copy the headline from up here. I'm going to paste it right in here. And I'm going to call it, or right there, there's an Oculus headset for everyone. Copy that. Paste that right in there. And theirs is left aligned. Do the same for ours. Now we need an image right below it. Add the image widget. Get this guy in there. And the reason we chose to display this as an image widget instead of a background to something is because to get this hover effect over here, we need to have a little bit of CSS. If we use the image as a background, we have to use a lot of CSS to get this effect. And we're just going to overlay the text by using negative margins. To get this to work how we want it, let's head into hover and make a hover animation, make it grow. And when we hover, we see it grows quite a lot faster than it does over here. That goes nice and slow. So let's slow this down. Let's make this 1 second. That's a bit better. Now the growth goes beyond the container of the image. There's no simple setting to turn that off in Elementor, but there is some really simple CSS to do that. If you look over here, the image does not grow beyond the container. It's like a viewport you're looking into, and the image grows inside of that viewport, does not go beyond the borders of it. To make that happen, all we have to do, make sure we're selecting the image, go to Advanced, go to Custom CSS, type in selector, which just selects the image itself. The rule we want to have is overflow hidden, and that's it. Everything that overflows outside of the boundaries of that image is hidden. And that's how easy it is. I want to have this content down here overlaid. We want Oculus Rift S, and that text looks a lot like the text that we have up here with Darth Vader. I'm just going to copy that, and then I'll copy the subheadline too. It looks pretty similar. So I have to make it a little smaller. Actually, looks a lot like this heading. Just going to choose the heading for that. You'll see what I mean right now. That's going to copy. I always like to copy and paste things I've already created because that makes developing so much faster. Just going to paste that right there. I'm going to call this Oculus Rift S. Let's copy this headline. I'm going to paste that down here. And its text is our most advanced PC-powered headset. And there you have it. It's going to shrink the size to be pretty close to theirs. I don't mind if it's not exact. And we have this arrow image. I'm going to add that as an image because that's how they have it on their site. Add another image. This is the button right here. Align it left. Make it much smaller. There we go. Now we just need to move this content up. We're going to use negative margin for that. Let's apply some other margins first. We've got a space up at the top and then space between this headline and then the image. Let's do those two things. Go to the section, apply padding at the top. Make sure you click the link so I'm not applying it everywhere. And that looks pretty good. Choose this text and apply padding on the bottom. That also looks pretty good. Let's choose this headline and apply negative margin at the top. That's close to what we want, but I don't want to adjust this for everyone individually. So let's see if we can make this work in a different way. I'm going to add an intersection. I'm going to delete one of the columns. I'm going to move these guys into this intersection. And then I will negative margin the intersection, move it up. That should make it a little bit cleaner. Not too much negative margin. There we go. Looks pretty legit to me. So now we just need to duplicate this a couple times. We have two more images on the right. Just gotta duplicate, change the image, change the words, and we're done. So that's copy and paste. Duplicate. Just move it over. There we go. Now we're going to duplicate both of these again. Duplicate. And this guy. Duplicate. Just move it up to here. With negative margin, it gets a little funny. Have to have a little bit of experience to know where the negative margin puts things, because you'd see things disappear and then I'd just move them back. I've done a lot of negative margin in my day, so I know where it goes. Just going to update these images. And update the text. Oculus Quest, Oculus Go. All right, looks like we pretty much nailed it. Now we just add the subheadline at the bottom. Let's copy that text. I'm gonna duplicate, I should probably duplicate one of these lower headlines. Duplicate that. I'm gonna have to add another section for this because this is now a 2-column area. We need to create a 1-column section. Move that down there. Paste in the words. Just gonna get the color from this main section. Style, background color. Copy that. Go down here. Style, background color. Paste in the background color. I want to center this. Make it a bit smaller. Probably add some more padding up above it. Yeah, I have some padding top. Could also do padding bottom on the other one. Don't want it on everything, so click the link. Now do padding top and move that down. We also want to have padding on the bottom. How much do we need? Quite a bit. After the learn more. Looks pretty good. And I'm going to copy. Let's copy this. Let's copy this whole thing. Probably have to duplicate this one. Duplicate it. Let's drag it down to here. Change this to learn more. Delete this column. Align this to the right. Make sure this one's aligned to the left. It is going to make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to switch sides actually. I just noticed. Now align this one to the left, align this one to the right, make this text color blue, make this guy quite a bit smaller, size of less and less padding. There we go. And that blue that we have when it hovers, we're going to use that blue for the text color for learn more right here. Text color blue. There we go. I think that section is pretty solid now. And now we're on to the next section, which is just an image with the same effect that we had before and some text overlay. So I think I want to just copy this Darth Vader section because it's kind of the same thing. I copy the whole thing. Copying sections doesn't seem to work very well, except for right there, it worked perfectly. All right, I'm going to get rid of all this Darth Vader stuff. Let's get rid of that, remove that. Now let's copy this image, put it right there. Let's copy this and put it right there. Let's change this image and put this one in. I have the same effect, lickety split, just like that. I want to change the words to explore more incredible apps and games. Let's get rid of this Rift S, get rid of the icon. Explore more incredible apps and games. Okay, now we want to center this. We also want to make this bigger. So let's go to the column. Let's not go to the column, let's go to the image, change the width, make it 100%. Go. Let's move this one up higher. More negative margin. Unfortunately, without doing more CSS, this is how we have to do it. And now we have our effect and we have our headline. It's going to be a bit bigger. It's on 2 lines. We want to have explore more incredible just as the top line. We can do that by adding padding on the left and the right. So let's try with 50 pixels. Sorry, not 500, just 50 left and right. It's not enough. Let's try 100 left and right. Also not enough. 200. There we go. That is enough. Let's move it up some more. It's in the middle. And we have our effect. We also have rounded corners, not bounded, up here. So let's round those corners if we can. Let's go to style and then border. Give a border rounding of, say, 5. All right, that looks pretty solid. The next piece is this section where we just have a form you can fill out. Just like the newsletter form we had in the bottom here, we're not going to duplicate this box, but we will duplicate everything else. So the first thing we want to do is create a new section. And it's going to be a full width section, very similar to this one. Click on the plus icon, add a new section, and we're overlaid with this other one because of the negative margin, and that's not nice to work with. So we're going to counteract that by going to this section, and where we have minus 426 at the top, we're going to add a positive 426 below it. Now we move our section down, the next section down. We're going to reduce that so it's not quite so far. There we go. That's more palatable. Before we go any further, let's save our work because that's always smart. And now we're going to do the same kind of trick we did for Darth Vader, where we have 2 different sections. In fact, I might just copy this whole section and paste it down here and delete the one that we created there as blank. Move this one up. There we go. Negative margins can cause all kinds of funny effects. Okay, so now move Darth Vader to the other side and replace that image with a different one. This one right here. That's the guy. We want to have that fit, no repeat, size, cover, auto, cover, contain. We want to fit the whole thing. I'm going to adjust all the widths and everything once we have all the content in place. So the content we have, some words, try Oculus, today with a period. Delete Star Wars. This has some negative margin on the bottom. Let's change that to 0. Let's get rid of all this margin manipulation we did there. And then below that, we want to say locate a live demo near you. And let's put that right here. Let's move that down below there. Let's make it a bit bigger. No, not the color. Make the font size a bit bigger. Make it normal. And now those are pretty close, I'd say. Let's delete this section here. Again, we're going to pretend we put a box at the bottom for the zip code. Not actually going to put that technology in there. And now we're going to play with the background colors. We have a gradient in the background, so we've got to have a darker gray and a lighter gray. And it doesn't explicitly have the gradient in here, but I found this darker gray down here, which hopefully is pretty close to what we need. Click on the column icon, click on style, background type. I'm going to clear the color. I'm going to choose a gradient instead. Put it in there. That's definitely not the right gray, but we'll go with it. Let's take this lighter gray at the top, and that hopefully is the other one. Could be. Let's lighten this one up a bit. It's almost like a silver. Just got to get that about like that. And the second color is a little bit lighter than what we have there. Can't get much lighter. I'm going to copy this background color because that's going to be the background color for this side. It's going to add a background color. Put that in there. Now we have that back there. Have to rotate this gradient to make it 120. About like that, I'd say. Now I have to change the height of this whole setup. And if you recall, this background color doesn't look right. I'll fix that in just a second. If you recall, we created the height in the Vader image using padding and size on a text element, which is this element right here. So we're going to reduce that size, that element. And we're going to align this image, background image, to the top right, like so. And we need to change the gradient a bit. Let's change the location to, say, right there. That way it flows better. That way it's at the end of this column, it's the same color as the background for the second column, which does not have a gradient. You need to change the color of Oculus Today, try Oculus Today to black, and make the font a little bit smaller, maybe like that. I've got a pretty solid looking replica. Let's change or reduce the width between these two, margin top of 0. And this guy, margin bottom of, let's make it 20. All right, there we go. Now we want to have some text. Pretty straightforward stuff here. I'm just going to create a section with a border on the top and then some content in the middle. So that one should be pretty easy. Add a section and let's put this text in there. Copy. Text editor. Paste that text in. Click on the section, 6 dots for the section settings. Add a border of solid width of 1 and give it a color of a light gray. It's not light enough. A bit lighter. There we go. Looks pretty solid. I have to add some more padding, top and bottom. I'm going to add that to the text editor specifically. I'm going to keep right and left at 0. Let's add a border to the bottom of the text editor. Make it the same color as we have for the section. Border, solid, width of 1 for just the bottom. And that color should be a 1, not a 10. There we go, that's looking pretty good. Now we just need 2 more. We have a drop down here to pick a bunch of options. I'm not going to add that because we don't have the functionality for those options. Just going to pick or have in there select a country. Let's duplicate this. Remove the border on the bottom if I can find it. There we go. No border. Reduce the padding more than likely. Let's copy this information first. duplicate that again. Paste that info in there. Let's reduce the padding here. Advanced. Make it 0. And the top had some. I don't think it was quite that much. And this padding top, let's make that 0. Padding bottom we can keep. That's fine. And the font is a little bit smaller. Oh no, it's good enough. It's pretty close. Now we have that content down there. And this gap here, of course, is an Elementor gap. It's not going to be in the actual final version. Click on Update. Now let's go and refresh this page because I think we've nailed it. And now we have all that stuff we did in Elementor on this page. Have to fix some spacing here. This isn't quite how we had it in there. Our images zoom in. Looks nice. This one zooms. Got to add a little more spacing on the top. All in all, I think it looks pretty good so far. Need to adjust this a little bit. Have it not so high. Negative margin top of less. And now we have to add less on the bottom to move that up. Now let's add some padding to the bottom of this guy, just to make sure that height stays in there, because we lost some of the height, and that worked. Now for the Vader image, let's add the height down below this section. Padding bottom. We watch that blue line go down to the bottom. With the right to the bottom of our image here in the builder, or close to it. Then click on Update, and that will bring it down to just the size that we want. And there we have it. And done. Nailed it. And there we go. I think we nailed it. We just rebuilt the Oculus website. It took a bit of time. There's a lot of finicky little minor adjustments we had to do, but I think we got her done. I think it looks quite nice. I hope this video helps you. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. And then check out this playlist up here. There's a whole bunch of tutorials on there that show you how to rebuild popular websites. So check that out. And my name is Bjorn Allpass for Themeisle. Until next time, keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.